So now let's look at some real world scenarios just so you get an idea of how to set up these proportion type questions, because the setup's the most important part. Once you got it set up, you can do cross products or equivalent fractions and get your answer. With setting it up and understanding what the question is asking, that's more than half the battle. So if a truck gets 18 miles per gallon, how many miles can it go on a full tank that holds 21 gallons? So we need to find our ratios that exist in this problem, and it might not be evident right away, but let's look at miles per gallon. What does that mean? So 18 miles is the distance that you can go on 1 gallon of gas in this truck. So there's our first ratio, 18 over 1, or 18 miles per 1 gallon. That's what miles per gallon means. Miles per 1 gallon of gas. All right, and we want to know how many miles, so that's our unknown, some number of miles, X miles, can it go on a full tank of gas that holds 21 gallons. So that's the number of gallons that we are given. So there's our two ratios, there's our proportion. If I know that I can go 18 miles on 1 gallon, how many miles can I go, knowing that fact, if this tank holds 21 gallons? So now we just pick your poison. What do you want to do? You want to do cross products or equivalent fractions? I tend to just go with cross products and break out the calculator if I need, or remember to simplify your fractions if you can. There's no simplifying that we can do here, so we'll just cross products. And let me just rewrite this without the terms. So we've got 18 over 1 is equal to x over 21. So 1 times x is x, and then 18 times 21 is going to be 378. And since this question is talking about miles and gallons, we will have our units in our answer. So on a full tank of gas, you'll be able to go 378 miles in this truck. Okay, next up, if you make $200 every 2 weeks, how much will you make in 1 year? So there's our first ratio here, $200 every 2 weeks. So we'll have $200 per 2 weeks. And the next ratio is in that next part of the question, which is how much will you make? So that's the unknown. We don't know how much money we're going to make in 1 year. So there is our proportion setup. But in a video or two ago, I think the first one that I did on proportions, whenever you're solving and setting up proportions, you got to make sure that your units are the same in each one. Over here on the left, we have dollars per weeks, but on the right, we have dollars per year. So something's got to change. We either got to express both of them in dollars per year or dollars per weeks. So it doesn't matter, but this one, let's go with dollars per weeks. So 1 year has 52 weeks. So I'll rewrite this as $200 every 2 weeks is equal to some number of dollars per 52 weeks. All right, so now we got dollars per weeks and dollars per weeks. So let me get rid of those units for now. So I'll have 200 over 2 is equal to x over 52. I'll do cross products again, but before I do that, let me simplify that fraction right there. I got 200 over 2. Well, that's just 100 over 1, which is equal to x over 52. And now I'll do my cross product. So 1 times x is x, and 100 times 52 is 5200. And the unit for our unknown was dollars. That's what we're looking for. So if you make $200 every 2 weeks, in 1 year, you will make $5,200. Not too bad. Proportions are especially important when you are planning a trip or you're interested in like global affairs or something like that, because different countries use different currencies. So what's the exchange rate? Exchange rates are just proportions problems. So if $5 is equivalent to 772 Japanese yen, how much will you pay in US dollars for a meal that costs 3,920 yen? So there's a couple of different ways that you could set up your ratios and then proportions here, but we'll do it this way. Let's say that for every $5, I can take that to the bank in Japan or whatever, and I can exchange that and get 772 yen. So $5 per every 772 yen is the ratio there. And what we want to know is how much in US dollars, so there's our variable, there's our unknown, is a meal that costs 3,920 yen. So our two ratios here, the terms line up on both of them. I got dollars per yen and dollars per yen there. So I'll get rid of the terms and just look at the numbers. So I'll have 5 over 772 is equal to x over 3,920. And we'll do cross product. So x times 772 is going to be 772x equal to 5 times 3,920, which is going to be 19,600. I'll divide both sides by 772. So again, those cancel here. So I will have x is equal to, go 772, divide that, 25.3886. Since this is a dollar amount, we'll round. So I have an 8 there. I'll round that to 0.39. And we'll get x is equal to $25.39. So 3,920 yen is equal to just over 25 bucks. This is probably the most common instance of using proportions and ratios when you're trying to do exchange rates for different currencies. So there you go.